Will you see your pet in heaven? You know, it's a question just about every person who has ever truly loved an animal has asked. And it usually comes up in a moment of just profound grief. But let me tell you, it is not a childish question. It absolutely deserves a serious biblical answer.
Right. Because when that furry little creature who met you at the door every single day is suddenly gone, the question isn't about some abstract theology, is it? It's about a gaping hole in your life. The loss is real, the grief is real, and the hope, well, that's what we're here to investigate.
So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to approach this whole thing like a detective's case. We are dusting for fingerprints all across the biblical narrative. I mean, from Genesis all the way to Revelation, to see what clues we can piece together. Now, let's just be honest right up front. You are not going to find a verse that says, yes, your golden retriever, Max, will be waiting for you. But what the Bible gives us is something so much bigger, so much more profound. It's this sweeping vision of how God plans to make all things new. Okay, let's dive into this.
Our investigation has to begin where all good investigations should, at the very beginning. We've got to go back to the book of Genesis. We need to establish Exhibit A, God's original, perfect design for the world, and see exactly where animals fit into that picture.
So in Genesis 1, we see that animals were an intentional and very valued part of God's very good world. They weren't a footnote, they were part of the main event. But here's where it gets really interesting, especially when you look at the original language. Now, this is a brilliant piece of evidence, and it's kind of hidden there in the original Hebrew. The word is nephesh. It means a living being or a soul, basically an animated creature with the breath of life in it. And here's the fascinating part. The Bible uses this exact same term to describe what God gave to both animals and humans.
This is a critical clue. In that original blueprint of creation, both are described as nephesh chaya, living souls. Now, of course, humanity is unique. We're made in God's image. But this shared term, it establishes this profound primal connection. We actually share the fundamental gift of life with the animal kingdom. They are fellow souls.
So we've established that animals were an integral part of God's perfect design. But we all know that's not the world we live in now, is it? So what happened? Well, to find our next clue, our Exhibit B, we need to fast forward thousands of years to the New Testament and the writings of the Apostle Paul. Paul isn't just being poetic here. He's making a profound theological point. He actually personifies the entire created order. You know, the mountains, the oceans, the animals. And he says all of it is groaning, waiting with this eager anticipation to be liberated from the curse of sin and death. And just think about the justice in this. Animals didn't sin. They didn't rebel. Yet they suffer the consequences of our choices. I mean, in a very real sense, they are innocent victims of a cosmic crime. And that makes their liberation not just a nice thought, but a matter of divine justice.
So if creation is waiting for restoration, what does that restoration actually look like? Well, for Exhibit C, we turn to the prophets, who give us what you might call eyewitness testimony, these incredible previews of God's fully restored world.
Isaiah paints this absolutely incredible picture of a renewed creation. And what's at the very heart of this vision of shalom, of perfect peace? Animals, predators and prey living in complete harmony. In God's vision of perfection, animals aren't just present, they are essential to the very imagery of wholeness. And this isn't some isolated idea. Isaiah repeats the vision again in chapter 11. The book of Revelation in chapter 19 describes armies riding on white horses in heaven. And then in chapter 5, there's this stunning moment where John hears every creature in heaven and on earth and under the earth praising God. The theme is consistent and it is crystal clear. And this is so important to grasp. The ultimate hope of the Bible isn't about escaping the physical world to become disembodied spirits floating on clouds. The hope is for a new heavens and a new earth, a tangible, physical, renewed creation. And in a renewed physical world, what would you expect to find? Physical creatures. Okay, let's step back and look at our case file. We've got Exhibit A from Genesis showing animals as original, valued souls. We've got Exhibit B from Paul arguing for creation's liberation as a matter of justice. And we have Exhibit C from the prophets painting a future that is just filled with animals. So, what's the verdict? Here's the truth of it. The Bible doesn't make that specific promise. And frankly, asking it to is actually asking the wrong question. It's too small. You see, the real promise of Scripture isn't about getting your old things back. It's about God making all things new.
It's a promise of a restored creation so complete, so saturated with goodness and joy that nothing good from the old world will be missing from the new one.
Ultimately, our hope is anchored not in one specific verse, but in the revealed character of God himself. I mean, this is a God who told Noah his covenant was with him and with every living creature. A God whose law commanded rest for livestock. A God who, as Jesus said, knows and cares when a single tiny sparrow falls from the sky.
So the crucial point is this: if God cares so deeply about the small creatures of this broken world, doesn't it follow that his fully restored world will be absolutely overflowing with every kind of good thing, including the very creatures who reflect his creativity and brought us so much joy?
We don't have a single verse, but we do have a verdict based on the evidence of God's character and his grand plan. And it leaves us with one final, provocative question. Would a world made perfect by a God of infinite love, goodness, and creativity really be complete with the loyal, joyful presence of the animals he himself called good?